Uh,
Oh,
The
I guess we're
plaintiff
being
has a-
recorded. Go ahead.
The plaintiff has a couple of housekeeping matters we would like to go over.
Okay, well, why don't we do introductions first, and then we can get to the motions and go from there. So if you guys are ready, be my guest. Lead off.
Good evening. Good afternoon. My name is Hannah Lay, and I'll be representing the plaintiff, Ethel Marks, on behalf of her deceased daughter, Jessica Marks.
Okay.
I'll be joined today by one witness, Morgan Levin.
Okay.
Would Your Honor like the defense to make appearances at this time?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. My name is Claire Harris. Good afternoon. I'm joined today by my second chair, Ethan Matthew, who will be assisting with screen sharing and timekeeping today.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Great.
Should we proceed to housekeeping matters, or would you like the plaintiff to go first?
You know what? I want you to give me 15 seconds, and I'm going to let the plaintiffs go first, but I'm just going to quick fill out. And this is Ms. Lee, Ms. Harris, right? Yes. I'm just catching up on some of my paperwork, so I'm ready to go. Okay, so why don't we start with Ms. Lee? Ms. Lee, you want to tell us what your motions are first?
Yes, Your Honor. First, we would like to say that we want to use some non-evidentiary demonstratives during our opening statement. Would you like to see those to pre-approve them?
Yes, please.
Ms. Acosta, could you share those for the court? Now, at this time, we would also like any judges or jurors to select side-by-side mode in view options, and then just adjust the video so that the videos are on one side, the demonstratives are on the other side, and they have relatively the same amount of space on the screen. All right, Ms. Acosta, you can click through, and that will be all, Your Honor.
Okay, so it's that little chart with the 3 questions that you plan to use in your opening.
Yes,
right?
those are all the demonstratives we're planning on using. We also have one additional housekeeping matter.
Okay.
Should we assume exhibits to be constructively outside the view of the jury before being admitted into evidence?
Yes.
And once they are admitted into evidence, should we assume that they are also published to the jury at the same time?
Yes.
All right. Then with that, the plaintiff rests until opening, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Harris, did you have any objection to the chart that she was intending to use for opening?
Sorry about that. I was on mute. Without objection, Your Honor.
Okay. And how about her other issues? You don't have do you have any objection to the constructive marking and admission and publishing of the exhibits?
If it's all right with you, it's all right with me, Your Honor.
It's all right with me. Okay. What now? I think you said you had some issues too. What are your issues?
Yes, Your Honor. We move to invoke Rule 615 of the Federal Rules of Evidence, the effective sequestration of all witnesses, excluding the party opponent.
I think that's reasonable. I'll be granted.
And for the record, our party opponent, the party representative for the defense today is Ms. Sunny Mehta.
It's who?
Ms. Sunny Mehta.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Understood. Yes, of course.
And may we assume that all objection arguments are outside the presence of the jury?
Yes.
And that all witnesses have been sworn?
Yes.
With that, we're ready to proceed, Your Honor.
Okay. So I'm going to go back to Ms. Lee because she has the floor. Ms. Lee, would you like to give an opening statement at this time?
Yes, Your Honor, we would.
Okay.
May it please the court. They served the drinks, but she suffered the consequences. It's a Sunday night, a slow night at Sunny's rooftop bar. Jessica Marks is sitting in the corner with their best friend, Morgan Levin. They're drinking. Then Jessica's eyes start to tinge red. Her sentences run into each other. She stumbles over her words and into other people. She's drunk. Now the bartenders, they see this. They know that they have a responsibility to cut her off. Members of the jury, they keep serving drinks. Today you're going to learn that Jessica Marks never makes it back from that bar. Not even minutes before she pulls out onto the highway, her car goes veering sharply off Pacific Coast Highway into the ravine far, far below. Her body is extracted from the wreckage of her car. She's pronounced dead on the scene. Jessica Marks never gets to go home, and Sunny's rooftop bar is responsible. You see, when we let bars sell alcohol, we have to keep a very specific danger: overserving. Giving drinks to someone who's already obviously intoxicated, well, that can put them at a lot of risk, which is why bars are held responsible for any injuries that result from overserving a minor. Today, you're going to learn that on the day she died, Jessica Marks was only 19 years old. You're going to learn that she was obviously unmistakably drunk, but the defendant kept serving drinks, and she suffered the consequences. That's why her family's here today, asking you to find the defendant liable for wrongful death. Now, as a plaintiff, we have a burden. We have to prove our case by a preponderance of the evidence, which just means more likely than not to be true. But it's already an undisputed fact that Jessica Marks was a minor on the day she died, so that only leaves two elements for us to prove: that the defendant served her alcohol while she was obviously intoxicated, and that she passed away as a result. And for you, the jury, to find the defendant liable, well, you only have to consider three questions. First, was Jessica Marks obviously intoxicated? Well, you might remember that she was with her best friend, Morgan Levin. Ms. Levin's going to tell you about the slew of drinks Jessica had, about all the signs of intoxication she was showing, but you don't even have to take her word for it. We're going to show you a video of Jessica on that night. You're going to get to see for yourself, to decide for yourself. Which brings us to our second question: did the defendant keep serving her drinks? Well, you're going to hear from the bar owner, Sunny Mehta herself, that she served their drinks, that she took their orders. She had every opportunity to see. She had to cut Jessica off, but just kept serving. Which brings us to our third and final question: did the defendant's conduct cause Jessica's death? Well, today you're going to learn at the time of the car crash, Jessica Marks's blood alcohol content was 0.16. Members of the jury, that's twice the legal limit. It's going to be abundantly clear that it was the alcohol, the defendant's alcohol, that killed her. She suffered the consequences because they served the drinks. Today you're going to find that the answer to all three questions I asked you is yes. And that's when I'll return to ask you to find the defendant liable for wrongful death. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. Ms. Harris, would you like to give your opening now, or would you like to reserve it? And your camera is off. Wait a minute. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I seem to have pinned Ms. Lee's. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Ms. Harris, there's technical problems on my end.
That's all right, Your Honor. The defense would like to make an opening statement at this time.
Okay, please proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Lay, Your Honor, members of the jury. Everybody knows. Everybody knows not to drink and drive. Everybody knows to be attentive when you get behind the wheel. Everybody knows that a decision like the one Jessica made can be deadly. Let's take a step back. It's March 24th of 2019. Jessica Marks is a freshman in college, and she's visiting her best friend, Morgan Levin, for spring break. Now, Miss Marks wants to end her trip with a bang, so they decide to go out drinking using their fake IDs. They step into Sunny's rooftop bar in Malibu, and after 3 hours, they decide to head out. Everyone knows not to drink and drive. Morgan Levin got in an Uber, and Miss Marks got behind the wheel. Members of the jury, It is a tragedy that Jessica Marks lost her life in a car accident. Her passing came all too soon, and our community has lost a bright young woman. Miss Lay told you that the defendant served and Jessica suffered the consequences. But members of the jury, as hard as it will be, you'll hear that Miss Marks suffered the consequences of her own actions and her own choices. Now, as the plaintiff told you, they've brought forward a claim of wrongful death against my client, Sonny's Rooftop Bar. And to fulfill their burden, they must prove that Sonny's Rooftop Bar served Jessica Marks while she was obviously intoxicated. And they have to prove that by a preponderance of the evidence, which means it's more likely true than not. Now, you'll hear the words obviously intoxicated throughout trial today. And to be obviously intoxicated, Jessica Marks must have displayed symptoms that would lead a reasonable person to believe that she was clearly drunk. Well, today you'll hear from Sonny Mehta, one of Jessica's servers from that evening. Sonny Mehta is trained to identify the signs of obvious intoxication. And you'll hear that Miss Mehta interacted with Jessica 8 times. And 8 times she did not seem obviously intoxicated. So the plaintiff isn't the only one with the burden of proof today. We have taken on an affirmative defense of comparative fault. That means that we must prove to you that Jessica Marks' death was caused by her own negligence. And when we say caused, it means that her negligence was a substantial factor in her death. But it doesn't have to be the only factor. You'll also hear about Jessica Marks' decisions. You'll hear that during the week of March 24th, she spent 5 nights drinking, and on 4 of those nights, she drove herself home. You'll hear that Miss Marks had enough to drink to feel the effects of alcohol before she even stepped foot in that bar, and she knew that she would be driving. Members of the jury, no matter how this story ends, nobody really wins. The Markses have lost a loved one. A young girl lost a bright future, but we cannot remedy those tragedies by holding liable someone who is simply not responsible. Jessica Marks did what everyone knows not to. So I'll come before you again at the end of trial and ask you to find Jessica Marks liable, not Sonny's Rooftop Bar. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. Ms. Lee, would you like to proceed with your case at this time?
Yes, Your Honor. At this point, the plaintiff calls Morgan Levin to the stand.
Okay.
May we proceed?
Yes.
Good afternoon, Ms. Levin. Please introduce yourself to the court.
Good afternoon. My name is Morgan Levin.
What do you do for a living, Ms. Levin?
Oh, well, I'm a college student at UCLA, so I don't really have a job, but being in college is kind of full-time.
Now, I want to talk to you about someone named Jessica Marks. Does that name sound familiar?
Yeah. Jessica used to be my best friend. We were childhood friends.
Why do you say she used to be your best friend?
About 2 years ago, we went out, and at the end of the night, she got in a car crash. She died.
Do you remember exactly when this day was?
This was March 24th.
Right now, I want to talk about the night of March 24th. So if you ever need a moment to just breathe, let me know, all right? So where were you on that night?
I started the day off at UCLA. Jessica picked me up around 6 p.m., took me back to her Airbnb. We were there for maybe an hour or 2, and then we went out to a bar.
What was the name of this bar?
It was called Sonny's.
And at Sonny's, did you have any drinks?
Yes, I really wish I could say no, but I did.
And what drinks did you have?
I had a glass of wine. We ordered a bottle, but I only had the glass. I think I had a beer later on in the night, and then I took one shot at the end.
And what, if anything, did you see Jessica Marks drink that night?
Well, we ordered the whole bottle of wine. I think she finished the rest of the bottle. She had 3 White Claws. They're these like hard seltzery drinks. She had a beer, and then she also took a shot with me right before we left.
All right, now I'd like to talk a bit about how Jessica was acting that night. Did you ever see her exhibit symptoms of intoxication?
Yes, she began to look drunk when we first got to the bar, and she just got drunker and drunker as the night went on.
Can you tell us about some of the specific things you saw that make you think she got drunker and drunker?
Yeah, she had kind of like watery, bloodshot eyes. She was really loud, even for her. And she was stumbling. She had a hard time walking.
Are you just relying on your memory for this?
No, I remember taking a video of her. I was shown it again during my deposition.
Would you recognize that video if I showed it to you now?
Yeah, I would.
Your Honor, let the record reflect that my co-counsel is now screen sharing Exhibit 10.
Hi everyone, Morgan and I are in Hollywood. We're at a bar. It's kind of like a Philly bar, except everything is really, really expensive. $10 for a seltzer. And everyone here wants to be a model or an actress. I'd like to thank the Academy. Mom and Dad, you've inspired me. Okay, well, go big or go home.
Ms. Levin, was that the video that you took?
Yeah, it was.
Does it look to be fair and accurate?
Yeah, it does.
Your Honor, at this point, plaintiff moves to enter Exhibit 10 into evidence.
Ms. Harris, any objection?
Without objection, Your Honor.
It'll be received.
All right, and earlier you mentioned that Jessica stumbled at some point. Do you remember when that was?
It was about an hour after we got there, so around 10 o'clock.
Did anyone else see her stumble?
Yeah, I mean, she stumbled right into the bartender, Sunny. I remember Sunny saying, like, whoa, Frankfurt, I think we need to cut this one off. So I assume she saw.
And after Sunny said, whoa, we might need to cut this one off, did she keep serving you drinks?
Oh, yeah, we were served throughout the entire night.
And did Ms. Mehta ever say anything else about Jessica Marks that night?
Yeah, during the end of the night, she kind of like leaned over and nudged me and said, this one's not driving right. She pointed to Jessica when she said it.
And after Ms. Mehta said, this one's not driving, right? Did she keep serving you drinks?
Yeah, we took the shots after that.
So over the course of the entire night, how many times did you see Sunny Mehta interact with Jessica Marks?
We ordered 4 or 5 rounds. She was our only bartender. She was clearing our drinks too, so maybe 8 to 10 times.
And over the course of the entire night, did Sunny's rooftop bar keep serving you drinks?
Yes.
All right, now I want to talk about the end of that night. When did you end up leaving the bar?
I called my Uber around 11:40. I think it came around 11:50, so right around then.
And what about Jessica?
Jessica told me she was going to drive. I wish I had stopped her or grabbed her or something, but she insisted.
Miss Levin, did you get to see Jessica Marks drive?
I did. She started off driving fine. She drove a little slow. It took her a while to make a left, but she didn't make it very far before she like swerved off the road and crashed, and it was just horrible.
I'm sorry you had to see that, Miss Levin. Your Honor, I have no further questions at this time.
Okay, Thank you. Ms. Harris, your witness.
Yes, Your Honor. May I have a moment to readjust my camera?
Certainly.
All right, Ms. Levin, before we begin, I'd like to be sure that you can see and hear me all right.
I can, yes.
All right, let's talk about March 24th. You had 3 drinks, right?
I did.
And that included shots, right?
At the very end of the night, yeah, I took 1 shot.
And you would admit that you were definitely buzzed, right?
Yeah, I was definitely buzzed. Not drunk, but buzzed.
So you would say you weren't sober.
No, not cold, dead sober.
Let's talk about the week leading up to March 24th. You're looking at Exhibit 3. What, do you recognize this?
Yes, this is one of the fake IDs Jessica brought with her to Los Angeles.
Now, I'd like to move to admit Exhibit 3 into evidence.
Ms. Lee, any objection?
Without objection, Your Honor.
Okay, it'll be received.
This is Jessica's fake ID, right?
It is.
And she used it throughout the trip, right?
Yes, she did.
So let's break down that week. On Monday, you and Jessica went to a restaurant called Anna's Grilled Cheese, right?
We did, yes.
And Jessica used her fake ID at that restaurant. didn't she?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevant and inadmissible character evidence.
What's your response, Ms. Harris?
Yes, Your Honor. The relevance of this is to show Miss Marks's habit of continually using a fake ID, and as Your Honor will hear, driving after drinking. This isn't going to show conformity therewith, simply because it is exempt from that, because it is a habit. And for the 403, as I said, this is showing habit, routine, or practice, and therefore it is admissible character evidence.
Your
Ms.
Honor,
Lee?
may I respond to that?
Sure.
Though Ms. Harris may say it's to show habit, a habit is something that is, like in the name, habitual. It's not something that's done by choice or consciously. And so, unless defense counsel wants to say that Ms. Marks had no choice or it was almost habitual for her to use her fake ID, this would not fall under the habit exemption.
May I be heard on those grounds?
Sure.
Your Honor, to make the jump that because something is a habit, it is not a choice, is a large one, and it doesn't follow. Your Honor, you will see that she used a fake ID 5 times in the week before she went to Sunny's rooftop bar. This goes to show the jury that Miss Marks did not die because of Sunny's negligence, but because of Miss Marks's, and she had a habit of being negligent. This goes to our claim, and it is essential that the jury hear this evidence.
Well, I'm going to allow it in. I think if I heard correctly, the first objection was relevance, and the fact that she has an ID, a fake ID, and the fact that she repeatedly has used that fake ID to me would suggest that she had the fake ID specifically to allow her to buy alcohol at businesses. And so that's certainly something I think the jurors would be helpful for them to assess. And, whether 5 times is a habit or not is once again something that I think goes to the weight, not the admissibility. So I'm going to allow it in. Your
Yes, Your Honor.
objection's noted.
Yes, Your Honor. Now, on Monday, you went to Anna's Grilled Cheese, as you said, and Jessica used her fake ID, correct?
Yes, she did. I think she got like 1 drink.
And that ID was accepted.
It was.
And as you said, she had a drink,
Yes.
maybe a couple.
I wouldn't say more than 2.
And then later she drove home, right?
She did.
Now let's move to Tuesday. You went to a restaurant called Toby's Taps, right?
Yes, I think Jessica got a drink and she also drove from there too.
So she used her ID to get that drink, right?
Yes,
And it was accepted, right?
it was.
And she was the one driving herself home, right?
Yes,
Now, Wednesday, came and you went to California Adventure and she had a drink there. And all of the same things happened at 2 different locations on Wednesday, right?
Yes, both California Adventure and Harper's.
Objection, Your Honor, compound.
Why don't you break it down question by question, Ms. Harris? You asked about California Adventure, so I'll have, why don't you let the witness answer that, and then you can ask about the second place.
Absolutely, Your Honor. You went to California Adventure and the same things happened there, right?
Yes, she used her ID, she got one drink, and we drove from there.
And the same thing happened at a restaurant called Harper's, right?
Yes,
Now, Friday, you went to a wine bar, right?
yes, we did.
And all of the same things happened there, right?
Yes,
Saturday, you went bar hopping, right?
we did, but there was no driving. We were on foot the whole day.
Right, but you did go to 3 different locations, right?
We did, and we used our fake IDs at all of them.
Then to summarize, Miss Levin, you were with Jessica for 5 days, not including Sunday, right?
Correct.
And you saw Jessica use her fake ID 8 times, right?
I did.
At 8 different locations, right?
Yes, at 8 different places.
And you witnessed 5 instances, not including Sunny's, of Jessica consuming alcohol and then driving, didn't you?
Yeah, I think Jessica only had 1, maybe 2 drinks max at all those places. She drank way more at Sunny's.
Let
Yes,
me bring you back to my question. You saw 5 instances of Miss Marks consuming alcohol and getting in her car and driving, right?
Objection, Your Honor, compound.
Your Honor, may I be heard?
Sure.
Your Honor, the things I'm asking just logically follow. If she got in her car, then she was driving. I don't believe that this was confusing the witness in any way.
Your Honor,
Go ahead, Ms. Lee.
Your Honor, a compound question is one that can elicit multiple different answers for different parts. And of course, this question does apply. If she was drinking, that's one answer. And then driving afterwards, that's another answer.
Well, and I think the witness would, and if that's the case, then I think the witness would say no. But the way Ms. Harris framed it was, you saw her drinking and driving on these 5 occasions. So it's either a yes or a no. She either saw that, or she's going to say, no, she drank on one day, but she didn't drive on that, or whatever it may be. So I think they're linked. And I think it's okay to, in this situation, I don't think it's a compound question. No, I didn't mean to distract you, Ms. Levin, but do you understand the question?
I understood the question.
Okay, please answer if you can.
Yes, those 5 days I saw Jess use the ID and then have a drink and drive after.
Now let's pull that down. Thank you, co-counsel. And next came March 24th. You talked about that a little bit on direct, right?
I did. It was the last day I saw Jess.
You and Jessica drank wine before going to the bar, right?
Yeah, I think I had a glass. She had 1, maybe 2.
But you saw 2 empty wine bottles in her apartment, right?
I did. I have no idea when she drank them or if she drank them, but she didn't seem like she had anything to drink when I saw her that day.
Miss Levin, let me bring you back to my question, all right? You saw 2 empty wine bottles.
I did see them.
And then Jessica drove you to the bar, right?
Yes,
And as everybody knows, that was Sunny's rooftop bar, right?
that was Sunny's.
And you got there and ordered more wine, right?
Yeah, we ordered a decoy bottle.
And then 5 more rounds after that decoy bottle, right?
I believe so, yeah.
And each time you ordered, you talked to Sunny Mehta, right?
Yes, she was at our table maybe up to a minute.
Right, so you only saw her for a minute or 30 seconds at a time, didn't you?
Yeah, they weren't full conversations, but she seemed to like talking to the customers.
You can't give this jury any specific instances of Jessica showing signs of being drunk in front of either of the bartenders, can you?
I can't point out a specific time, but she must have. She looked
Miss
super
Levin.
drunk all night.
Miss Levin, let me draw you back to my question. You can't give this jury any specific instances, can you?
Specific times? Well, she did fall in front of Sunny. That happened.
Miss Levin. Now I'm gonna make this a little clearer. You cannot give the jury any specific instances of Jessica Marks showing signs of intoxication in front of either of those bartenders, right?
I disagree. She fell in front of Sunny. She like totally stumbled on her way back from the bathroom.
Now let's pull up Miss Levin's depo. Now I'm gonna direct you to line 17 through 20 of page 35 of your deposition. Are you able to see that?
It's really small. Let me see if I can make it.
May we pause the time for this technical difficulty, Your Honor?
Sure.
Are you able to see that, Miss Levin?
I can see it.
You can?
Yes.
Now, I'd like you to read along with me once we get to that line. You're at 17, go down to 17 to 20. See you later. Now, my co-counsel is gonna highlight that line on the 35th page of the depo.
Ms. Harris, I'm going to tell you to hold on because it's still scrolling. I don't, unless we've stopped now.
Pardon, is it still moving?
Now it's stopped.
All right, and you can.
Are you on the page you want?
Are you able to see page 35?
Yes.
All right, we're gonna read lines 17 through 20. You were asked the question, describe the way Jessica looked as she walked past Pardon. This is the wrong page, Your Honor. Now, we'll just drop it, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I believe we're having some technical difficulties and my second chair's screen must be frozen. I'm not quite sure. So we'll be moving on. But you cannot give this jury one specific instance, right?
Well, no, she stumbled on the stairs on the way back from the bathroom at 10, fell into Sunny, and Sunny said, I think we might need to cut this one off. She was looking drunk at that time.
Now, Ms. Levin, when you made your deposition, you were asked this very question. Can you give us a specific instance? And you said no to that question, didn't you?
I believe I was being asked if Jessica exhibited red eyes or slurred speech in front of Sunny. I said no to those questions, but I also said she must have because she's been exhibiting those symptoms all night long. I can't tell you a specific time, but it had to happen.
So let me be sure I understood you. You cannot give this jury one specific time, right?
No, I wasn't checking my watch all night.
All right. Now, Jessica insisted on driving home.
Yes, she did.
And she said, I've gotten pretty good at driving after a big night, right?
Yeah, she said that.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions. And once again, my apologies for those technical difficulties.
Not a problem. And thank you, Ms. Harris. Ms. Lee, would you like to redirect the witness?
Yes, Your Honor, briefly.
Go ahead.
Now, Ms. Levin, on cross-examination, opposing counsel brought up some earlier incidents when you two went out drinking. Did Jessica ever drink as much as she did on March 24th in those earlier instances?
No, she didn't. She had 1, maybe 2 drinks throughout the week. She was drinking a lot more at Sunny's.
And she also talked about this time when you said you never saw any instances where Jessica was displaying certain symptoms. Which symptoms specifically were you talking about?
I believed in my deposition, I was asked whether or not Jessica was displaying watery eyes, bloodshot eyes, or slurred speech in front of Sunny Mehta. I said, no, I can't point to a specific time, but I also said that she had to because she was displaying those symptoms basically all night long.
But can you point to any other specific instances when Jessica Marks exhibited different symptoms of intoxication in front of the bartenders?
Yes, when we were walking back from the bathroom at 10 o'clock, she almost completely fell down. She had to catch herself against Sunny.
All right. Thank you, Miss Levin. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any further witnesses, Ms. Lee?
I believe opposing counsel. Oh, I suppose not. They were allowed to recross, but.
Oh,
no-
are they? I apologize. Ms. Harris, did you want to recross?
Your Honor, due to those technical difficulties, we did run out of time. No recross, thank you.
Okay. So, Ms. Lee, do you have any further witnesses?
No, Your Honor. Plaintiff rests until close.
Okay. Ms. Harris, your case, please proceed.
Yes, Your Honor, at this time, the defense calls Sunny Meta to the stand. Sorry about that. Are you able to see me?
We see you just fine, Ms. Harris.
Great. Please state your name and spell your last for the court reporter.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sunny Mehta. That's M-E-H-T-A, but you can just call me Sunny.
What do you do for a living, Miss Meta?
Well, before, back in 2019, I was a bar owner. I love to run my own business and be my own boss, and now I'm looking to start my next business.
Were you working at your bar on the night of March 24th of 2019?
Yes, I was. It was a Sunday night, so we thought it'd be chill. It was just me and another bartender, Frankfurt Johnson.
But you said you thought it'd be chill, and why was it?
Well, we actually got a few more customers than expected, two of them being Jessica Marks and Morgan Levin. And sadly, Jessica Marks did pass away later that night.
I'm going to show you Exhibit 17. Do you recognize this exhibit?
I do. This is a receipt from a bar tab at my bar.
Do you know whose receipt this was?
Yeah, this is Morgan Levin's receipt. All of the drinks were on her tab that night.
Has it been changed or altered in any way?
No, not at all.
At this time, the defense moves Exhibit 17 into evidence.
Ms. Lee, any objection?
Without objection, Your Honor.
Okay, it'll be received.
Now, you mentioned that this was Morgan Levin's bar tab. Who is Morgan Levin?
Morgan Levin is one of the women that came into my bar that night. I believe she's the friend of Jessica Marks.
Now, let's ignore any food that the two ordered and just talk about their drinks. Now, are these all the drinks that the two ordered that night?
Yes, they are.
And how many drinks are on this tab?
Well, there's 7 drinks and 1 bottle of wine, the decoy blend.
Did they split these drinks equally?
Something like that. I think Jessica had like 3 to 4 drinks, and the wine, so it was like that.
Now let's talk about the alcohol content of those drinks. What is the alcohol content of a White Claw?
Each White Claw has 8% alcohol.
And what about those beers?
Well, the Ballast Point IPA draft, that's just like a watered down version of a beer, has 7% alcohol, and the Sierra Nevada IPA can, same thing, watered down version, has 6.5%.
Now, I'd like to draw your attention to the bottom of that piece of paper and that blue writing. What is that?
That's Morgan Levin's signature. She spent a good amount of time trying to write it, trying to be focused and get it right.
And how else was she acting while she wrote this signature?
She wasn't looking too good, I'm going to be honest, starting to look a little sleepy, and her eyes were red and watery. I was like, okay, she's a little buzzed.
So how much was the tab before the tip?
The tab was $119.58.
And Miss Mehta, I know it may be a bit taboo, but can you tell us how much Morgan Levin tipped you?
Yeah, Morgan Levin left us a tip of $20.
So what should the total on that bar tab have been?
The total should have been $139.58.
But what did Miss Levin put down?
She put down $149.58, another $10.
Let's pull that down. And I'd like to circle back to Miss Marks. When did you first see her?
The first time I ever saw Miss Marks was when she walked into my bar on March 24th, 2019.
And when you first saw her, did she seem sober to you?
Yeah, she did. If she wasn't, as rude as this sounds, I would have told her, I'm not serving you, you have to go.
And then after you first saw her, when was your next interaction?
Well, I remember that they went up to the rooftop, has this gorgeous view of the mountains and the ocean, and they ordered their first drink. So that was the next time I saw them.
And how many interactions did you have that were similar to that one?
Well, if I remember right, they ordered about like 4 rounds of drinks, so then I saw them maybe like 8, 10 times.
And during any of these interactions, did you see Jessica Marks displaying signs of obvious intoxication?
No. In all my years as a bartender, and then the training I took before I owned the bar, I know the symptoms to look for, and Jessica didn't show any of them.
Did you ever discuss anything with Jessica that was outside of her drink ordering?
I did. Like I said before, Morgan Levin wasn't looking too good, so I asked who was driving.
And what did Jessica say?
Jessica said that no way she's driving.
So who was Jessica talking about when she said that?
Jessica was talking about that she was the one that was going to be driving, not Morgan Levin, which is good to hear because everybody knows that they shouldn't drink and drive.
Now, when was the last time that you saw Jessica Marks that night?
Jessica Marks and Morgan Levin left at around 11:45 p.m. That's the last time I saw them.
And do you know if Jessica was still planning on driving?
She didn't tell me that she was changing her plans. She didn't look intoxicated, so I didn't have to call her a cab. Yeah,
So you thought she was fit to drive?
definitely. Out of all the symptoms I've been taught, all the symptoms that I know, she didn't show any of them.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions at this time.
Okay, Ms. Lee, you're a witness.
Good evening, Ms. Mehta. Now, I'd like to start with your philosophy as a business owner. You like interacting with your customers, don't you?
I do. Being a bartender was so fun. I'd get to meet people from everywhere and just talk to them.
Yeah, in fact, on March 24th, 2019, you were out there serving tables.
I was. It's my favorite thing to do, so I can actually interact with my customers.
And like you said on direct, you took the orders from Jessica Marks' table, right?
I did.
And you took their orders around 4 to 5 times, right?
Yeah, that's about how many rounds of drinks they ordered.
And you also served them their drinks.
I did. Like I said, I was on the floor that night, and Frankfurt Johnson was staying at the bar.
And you also served them drinks about 4 to 5 times.
Yeah, that's about how much they ordered.
And you remember Jessica Marks ordering every time there was a run of orders, right?
I do. Yeah, each time she ordered, and each time she looked great.
And so that means you heard Jessica Marks' voice around 4 to 5 times that evening, right?
I did.
All right, now I want to talk a little bit about your qualifications. You've taken the Responsible Beverage Service course, right?
I have. It's required by the state of California.
And you've passed the state required exam for that.
I'm proud to say that not only have I passed it, but so have my other bartenders, yes.
Right. And you had experience as a bar owner.
Yeah,
As a bar owner, you knew to look for signs that someone's obviously intoxicated.
I do, and these signs can include anything from slurred speech to bloodshot or watery eyes or even falling down the stairs.
Right. Signs like lack of motor control
Yes, that's one of them.
or like loss of balance.
Again, that's one of them.
And loss of balance can be, like you just said, falling down the stairs.
Yes, that's true.
All right, now let's talk about Jessica Marks. When she walked in, you thought she looked about 5 feet tall, right?
Yeah, about that height.
And around 110 pounds.
Yeah, around that.
You served her table 8 drinks.
Yeah, like I said before, they ordered about 4 rounds of drinks.
You served them a full bottle of wine.
That's what they ordered, the decoy blend.
You served them 2 beers.
Yes, the IPAs, which are like in a can and watered down. Yeah.
You served them 3 White Claws.
Yes, that's what they ordered.
And you served them a round of shots.
Yes, the green tea shots.
Your Honor, at this point, let the record reflect that my co-counsel is screen sharing Exhibit 22. It's already been pre-admitted, Your Honor. Now, Ms. Mehta, I want to talk about that last section right there, toxicology. Can you read what that section says to me?
Yes, blood drawn at the scene of the accident contains 0.16 grams per 100 milliliter of blood. BAC, blood drawn on March 25th, 2019 at 2 a.m. contains 0.12 BAC.
And Your Honor, at this time, we would like the court to take judicial notice of the fact that the legal BAC limit for an adult is 0.08.
I think that's commonly known, so I'll take judicial notice of that, sure.
All right, Ms. Acosta, you can take that down. Now, at the end of the night, you saw Jessica Marks walk out of your bar, right?
I did. She went down the stairs perfectly fine and walked out of the bar.
Right, you thought she looked perfectly sober.
It's not just that I thought it, I saw it. She didn't have any symptoms.
Right, and then you were here during the direct examination of Morgan Levin, right?
I was.
You saw the video of Jessica Marks that she recorded.
I did see that.
Now, Ms. Acosta, can we get that video up on screen again? This has already been admitted, Your Honor.
Hi everyone, Morgan and I are in Hollywood. We're at a bar. It's kind of like a Philly bar, except everything is really, really expensive. $10 for a seltzer. And everyone here wants to be a model or an actress. I'd like to thank the Academy. Mom and Dad, you've inspired me. Okay, well, go big or go home.
All right, now you see that that video was taken at 11:11 p.m., right?
I do see that.
That's about half an hour before you saw Jessica Marks leave.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That's about half an hour before you saw Jessica Marks looking completely sober.
Yeah, and she was like that the entire night when she left.
Right, and after this video was recorded at 11:11 p.m., you still served her drinks, didn't you?
I did, because even what this video shows, that's not a symptom of intoxication. You won't believe how many people walk into my bar and pretend that they're Lady Gaga or Beyonce.
That's not what I was talking about. Let me redirect you to my question. After this video was recorded at 11:11 p.m., you still served Jessica Marks drinks.
Yes, because she wasn't obviously intoxicated.
Of course, and that's why you served her a round of green tea shots.
Yes, that's what they ordered.
And now I'd like to talk about something that opposing counsel also brought up on Morgan Levin's direct examination. Ms. Acosta, can we get Jessica Marks' driver license up there? You can tell this is a fake, right?
Yes, I can.
It doesn't have height,
That's true.
doesn't have weight,
That's correct.
and it took you, what, 2 seconds to find that out?
That's about right.
And it's your policy to card your customers, right?
It's bar policy and state law, yes.
Right, so it's everyone's policy to card the customer.
Yes, and we must have that night. It's policy.
Right, you must have carded Jessica Marks.
Yep, I just said that.
You must have seen her driver's license.
I must have seen a driver's license. I don't recognize this one specifically.
All right, that's all right. Ms. Acosta, you can take that down. No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Harris, any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. Now, Ms. Mehta, opposing counsel just asked you if you saw that ID. Were you here during Morgan Levin's direct examination?
Yes, I was.
And when I asked about her ID, did she say anything about Jessica Marks's fake ID?
Not that I can recall.
Did you hear her say that Jessica Marks had more than one ID on her?
I did. She said something along the lines of, this is one of her fake IDs.
So, do you know if you saw the one that was just pulled up on screen?
All I can say is that I recognize the picture to be Jessica Marks, not this ID specifically.
Now, just a couple more questions, Miss Meta. Were you around when that video that you just watched was taken?
I wasn't present exactly when it was taken, no.
Did you see it before your deposition was taken?
I did not.
And how was Jessica Marks acting that night?
Jessica Marks was not obviously intoxicated. Like I said, she didn't show any of the symptoms. She never fell down the stairs in front of me. She never slurred her words in front of me, never passed out. All these big signs. Jessica never showed any of them.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions. May this witness be excused, subject to recross.
Sure. Ms. Lee, anything else?
No recross, Your Honor.
Okay, yes, she's excused. So the exhibits have been admitted. Ms. Lee, you are free to proceed to your closing argument whenever you are ready.
Yes, Your Honor. May I proceed?
Yes.
Everybody knows the signs of intoxication. Members of the jury, that's why you're here deciding it today instead of some expert. Everybody knows when someone's slurring their words or looking drunk. Sunny's rooftop bar was no different. 5 seconds. It would have taken them 5 seconds to say no, to say, you've obviously had enough. But in that moment, instead of saving Jessica Marks's life, they served her another drink. They sent her to the bottom of that ravine. She would have been a college senior this year. Right about now, she'd be wrapping up a summer internship, getting ready to go back to school, but she's not. Because Sunny's rooftop bar didn't take the 5 seconds to look, to see the signs, to recognize their responsibilities. That's why we're here, because 5 seconds was too much for the defendant, so they served the drinks. And she suffered the consequences. Now, to hold them accountable, today we had to prove our case to you by a preponderance of the evidence, which again just means more likely than not to be true. Whether for you that means 90% true, 51% true, or 50.1% true. Now, the first element we had to prove, that Jessica Marks was a minor, well, it's still not in contention. We know that she was 19. But to answer those two last elements, that the defendant served her alcohol while she was obviously intoxicated, and that she died as a result, well, you have to think back to the 3 questions that I asked you at the beginning of today's trial. First, was Jessica Marks obviously intoxicated? Well, you heard from Morgan Levin how much she was drinking. You heard that at the very least, she had the better part of a bottle of wine, a beer, 3 White Claws, and shots. Now, Ms. Mehta on stand today, she tried to tell you Jessica Marks wasn't obviously intoxicated. She never acted like that. But remember, you also heard from Sunny Mehta herself that Jessica Marks was around 5 feet tall, 110 pounds. They want you to believe that after a bottle of wine and 5 drinks, petite size 0, Jessica Marks was completely sober? And past how much she was drinking, you also know how she was acting. You heard Morgan Levin tell you, and you saw it for yourself in that video we showed you. You heard Jessica Marks slurring her words, and Sunny Mehta agrees. Slurring is a symptom of obvious intoxication. You saw Jessica Marks fumble with her drinks, and Sunny Mehta agrees. Lack of coordination is a symptom of obvious intoxication. You heard that Jessica fell down the stairs, and Sunny Mehta agrees. Loss of balance is a symptom of obvious intoxication. Members of the jury, she walked like it, she talked like it, she was. I'm sorry, Your Honor, I believe my Wi-Fi cut out.
I don't know if it was yours or mine, but we got cut off.
Mine did too, so I think it was everybody.
Same.
Okay. I apologize, Ms. Lee, for the interruption. I know that's really unsettling to have your closing argument interrupted. So
It's all right, Your Honor. It was at a good transition moment anyways. I believe
why don't you just take a second, regroup, and then start up whenever you want to start up.
Oh, I'm ready to start now. Ms. Acosta, I believe we ended right when you showed the demonstrative. All right, and I believe the first check mark was not that. All right, and so that means the answer to our first question, was Jessica Marks obviously intoxicated? Well, you heard about it, you saw it, that's a yes. Which brings us to our second question, did the defendant keep serving her drinks? Well, you heard from Sunny Mehta herself, she's taken course after certification on obvious intoxication. She said it herself on direct and cross-examination. She served their drinks 4 to 5 times. She took their orders 4 to 5 times. She heard Jessica's voice 4 to 5 times. Members of the jury, being drunk isn't something you can turn on and off. What you and I saw in that video today, that's the exact same thing that the people at Sunny's rooftop bar saw, and they admitted themselves. 10 p.m. Jessica Marks falls face first onto Sunny Mehta, and Sunny Mehta says, oh, well, we might need to cut this one off. But she keeps serving them drinks for an hour and a half afterwards. Before Jessica Marks leaves, Sunny Mehta comes over to their table, looks at Jessica and says, I hope this one isn't driving. But she keeps serving them drinks. Members of the jury, she comes back to their table, puts on her best customer service smile, and sits down around shuts. The answer to our second question, that's a yes. Now, I've told you a lot about what you did here today, and it's been a lot. But let me tell you what you didn't hear. You didn't hear about any extraneous circumstances. You didn't hear about rain or snow covering the road. You didn't hear about a deer in the middle of the highway. You didn't hear about anything that could have driven Jessica Marks off that highway into that ravine, except for the defendant's alcohol. Remember, 0.16 BAC, that's twice the legal limit. The answer to our third question is yes. She suffered the consequences because they served the drinks. In a moment, opposing counsel is going to come up here and tell you everyone knows. And it's true, because everyone knows the signs of intoxication, especially trained professionals with that much training, that many certifications. And while you listen to her, I want you to keep in mind, we all make our own choices, but it's difficult to make choices when you've been overserved, when you're already obviously intoxicated and they just keep feeding you drinks. There's no conscious choice at that point. Find them liable. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. Ms. Harris, feel free to begin anytime you are ready.
Yes.
There you are. You're unmuted now.
Yes,
Please
Your Honor,
proceed.
just pardon me. Just one moment. Everybody knows. Everybody knows not to drink and drive. Everybody knows that it's reckless. And everybody knows that a decision like that can be fatal. Members of the jury, this accident was a tragedy. And it hasn't been easy for anybody in this courtroom to sit and watch a grieving best friend or hear about Miss Marks's bright future. And we recognize that this isn't an easy thing to do, but it is vitally important that you separate feeling from fact. It's your duty as a juror to set aside your sadness and your sympathy and apply the law to the facts. So let's talk about some of those facts. Jessica Marks drank and drove 5 times during the 6 days that she was in Los Angeles. She had a habit of getting behind the wheel after consuming alcohol. You heard that she drank before going to Sonny's rooftop bar. Morgan Levin told you she only saw Jessica drink 1 or 2 glasses of wine. But there were 2 empty wine bottles sitting in that apartment. She drove to the bar. She sat in the bar with her keys in her pocket and left the bar with those keys in hand. She chose to drive after a night of drinking, and that decision was hers alone. Now, the plaintiff just asked you 3 questions, and we're gonna pull those up on the screen. Now, they wanted you to answer yes to these questions. But what you heard from Sonny Mehta is that Jessica Marks was not obviously intoxicated. Members of the jury, she said it over and over, using her expertise, she saw no signs. So then they asked you, did they continue to serve her? Did they keep serving her? Yes, Sonny Mehta gave her drinks because that's what she ordered and she felt no concern. So it's not that she kept serving her, it's that she served a girl who she thought was fine. And last, that 3rd question. They asked you to answer yes to that question as well. But let's talk about, pardon me, Your Honor, let's talk about why you cannot do that. They didn't bring you enough evidence to fulfill their burden of proof. My co-counsel is going to pull that down. They showed you Morgan Levin, and she got on the stand and couldn't make any sense of that receipt. She couldn't tell you who drank what or when. She couldn't tell you any specific instances where Jessica was showing signs of being drunk while Sonny Mehta was around. Now, she tried to tell you that she tumbled down the stairs, but Sonny Mehta doesn't remember anything like that. She tried to say that there was a specific instance and that was it. But members of the jury, we don't even know if that happened. Because the evidence that they did bring you, Morgan Levin's testimony, is not reliable. They want you to take Morgan Levin at her word when she claims that Jessica Marks wasn't making any sense, when she claims that Jessica Marks stumbled down those stairs, when she claims that Jessica Marks got more and more drunk throughout the night. They want you to take that testimony and run with it, make decisions with it. But Sonny Mehta told you that Morgan Levin was buzzed, and Morgan Levin used that exact same word to describe herself. And the testimony of a person who admits that they were drinking and that they felt the effects of that alcohol, it's not testimony at all. It's guessing. The employees of Sonny's rooftop bar had no reason to believe that they should have stopped serving Jessica Marks. Sonny Mehta didn't see Miss Marks with red, watery eyes. She didn't see her with flushed cheeks. She didn't hear her slur her words. They showed you a receipt as proof of Miss Marks's intoxication, but just because Sonny Mehta looked at a girl who had been drinking doesn't mean she was looking at a girl who was drunk. Members of the jury, the plaintiff has failed to fulfill their burden of proof. And we had to prove to you that it's more likely than not that Jessica Marks, they had to prove that it's more likely than not that Jessica Marks died in whole or in part because of Sonny's rooftop bar. But if you feel that they have fulfilled their burden, then we ask you to consider our affirmative defense. With an affirmative defense comes a burden of proof, which means that we had to prove it more likely than not that Jessica's negligence was a substantial factor in her death. Now, the judge will instruct you on the law in a minute, and you'll hear that negligence is the failure to use reasonable care to prevent harm. to oneself or to others. Miss Marks broke the rules that everybody knows. She failed to use reasonable care. So if you feel that we have fulfilled our burden, you'll move on to your last and third question. What % fault should be assigned to Jessica Marks? And what % fault should be assigned to Sunny's rooftop bar? Considering the evidence you heard today, considering the employees of Sunny's rooftop bar did not see any signs of obvious intoxication, considering Miss Marks ignored the rules that everyone knows to follow, we ask you to assign no more than 10% fault to Sunny's rooftop bar. Members of the jury. In a minute, you'll go into that jury room, and no matter what the verdict form says, nobody really wins. A young woman is dead, a tragedy happened, and it's not fair. Everybody knows that it's not fair, but you can't right this wrong by finding liable somebody who is simply not responsible. That's why I ask you to find Sunny's rooftop bar not liable. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lee, I believe you get an opportunity to rebut if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Your Honor. Counsel? All right, Ms. Acosta, that'll be enough. Defense counsel just told you that we want you to take Morgan Levin's testimony at her word, and sure, we'd like that. But you don't need to. We don't need you to, because we just showed you what Jessica Marks looked like. We don't need to tell you how she was acting, because you saw. They told you that you have to separate feelings from facts. Well, that's fact right there. That's video proof. Just remember, at the last second when she could have saved herself, she couldn't, because she was overserved. She didn't get to make her choice. Thank you.
And Ms. Harris, I don't recall, do you get to rebut again, or are you limited?
No, Your Honor, we're limited, and therefore we have no rebuttal.
Okay. Well, thank you.